Well, good evening, gamers and otherwise degenerates. Welcome to The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, a blindfolded race between Parisian player and Levi La Douceur. I am Steven, a former speedrunner of no renown, and I am joined with a former Link to the Past speedrunner of great renown, and also a blindfolded aficionado himself. The one, the only Zelna. Zelna, how are you this fine evening?
I'm very good, thank you. How you doing?
I am just fine. So, we are doing blindfolded Master Sword with major glitches. So this is going to be a race to the Master Sword. Anything goes. You will find that there are very few no major glitches blindfolded runs, and we will explain why that is along the way. But our runners are expected to get to the Master Sword in an hour 15 or less. I believe world record right now is 50 minutes or so. And I believe that's held by Parisian right now. But both of these runners are very high caliber, and either one of them could beat that time at any given day. So, and Zelna, of course, you have done quite a bit of Link to the Past yourself, and quite a bit of a little bit of Blindfolded yourself. So, what?
Yeah, as
What
far
is?
as well, I haven't done Master Sword, and I haven't done with major glitches. So what I've done is basically NMG, the NMG one. No major glitches, and you'll see Moldorm is a big reason why the NMG run hasn't seen the light of day yet, as far as a full
Right.
completed run. But these guys are gonna torch Moldorm in a different way, and you guys will see later.
Yep. And along the way, we'll talk about what makes Blindfolded just so difficult, and how much effort goes into routing out something like this or making your way around. But I think our runners look like they're just about ready to go, and so we're going to go ahead and have them counted down. After the countdown, they'll have blindfolds on. Won't be able to see chat. Won't be able to hear us. So they will, if there's anything that goes wrong with the stream, we have ways of reaching out to them since they won't know.
But and hopefully no technical issues. Fingers crossed.
Yep. With that said, it looks like we're about to get started. Just waiting to see Parisian's blindfold go on. That'll tell me that the countdown has... All right. So, Blindfolded Run is it's an interesting series of events, and there's a few things that you're going to see in Blindfolded movement. Finding out where you are in relation to the screen. So you're going to see a lot of sword clinking to find walls. You're going to see a lot of using the boomerang to find how close you are to a wall. You're also going to sometimes see them counting or maybe nodding to count 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, however they do it. I think I did that. To understand where they are. And there's also things such that are called input normalization. Doing inputs, doing actions that move you a set guaranteed number of pixels, such as bonking. So as they move through, you'll see these different techniques that they use to find their way through. And a lot of the rhythmic movement right now is what gets them through this first part of the courtyard until they pick up the sword, and then the clinking will begin shortly.
Yes, and I want to point out that until you get the sword, there really isn't any good way of using any audio cues because you can't dash yet. You don't have your sword. The only thing really is if you walk onto grass, you can hear that grass sound. But other than that, you're on your own.
So right now, you're going to see them. They are going to be doing right away something called exploration glitch. So exploration glitch is they're going to be arming this by saving and quitting, while they are in the middle of jumping off of a ledge. And by saving and quitting at that time, it interrupts a process in the game where Link is changing from the upper layer to the lower layer. And that lower layer change doesn't take effect until he hits the ground. But that state change is saved when you save and quit. So after saving and quitting, they have to very carefully get to a specific part of the castle without taking damage, or else the glitch will become unarmed. So you're going to see Parisian and Levy very carefully moving through the courtyard, using spins, using bushes, and moving through the front of the castle so that they can get in that door without any of those green guards. And it looks like Parisian was able to make it through just fine. And you'll see now the second part of that glitch occur. Parisian will take damage, and taking damage triggers the second half of that layer state transition. And now Parisian is outside the correct bounds of the map, walking technically below the floor, and is able to freely move throughout the map. This is how they're going to move throughout the world a lot. And in that case, you just saw Parisian use that exploration glitch to shortcut a bunch of difficult screens and make his way to his tool of echolocation, the boomerang. Meanwhile, Levy, you noticed, got lost a little bit in the courtyard, and so the safest thing to do is to save and quit again. That jump state is still armed, so Levy is, or that saving and quitting again unarms that jump state, so Levy is going to rearm it and then get back through the courtyard.
Yeah, the screens they are skipping by performing exploration glitch are basically the giant pit rooms. Once you started going down the stairs, can be some pretty troublesome rooms, but thankfully EG skips all of that.
Yep. Now, you'll see Parisian is using a series of movements to draw the ball and chain guard over towards that second jail cell. And the clanking of the sword, and there was also some echolocation with the boomerang. Drawing the ball and chain guard over is going to allow Parisian to safely just chuck pots. And this way, he's able to kill the ball and chain guard, which, without being able to see, a feat that would otherwise be nearly impossible. But he was able to get the two pots thrown, get the kill, and now make his way up to the cell to pick up Zelda and the lamp.
A little detail is I think Livy grabbed the lantern leaving Link's house, or inside Link's house rather. So it's a little route change, yes. I guess.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of movement that Levy will not have to figure out how to do inside. Now, Levy, that green guard is dodging these bushes pretty well. Hopefully, okay, Levy was able to kill that green guard, and now is just going to use some movement to... Oh, see, is having trouble finding that front door. This courtyard segment is one of the hardest parts of the run because of having to do it all without taking damage. So, meanwhile, Parisian just armed another EG with another jump save and quit, and the ball and chain guard is more than happy to do damage and put you on the wrong layer of the map. And as Parisian moves through these screens, you'll actually kind of get an idea of what's going on. I believe he's going to move through a screen where there's a hole in the floor here, where you'll see what's going on. Link and Zelda are just underneath the map.
And for these
trip.
Yeah, and for these exploration glitch sequences, the way they know how many screens they travel, right now, because they don't have the boots, they want to slash their swords right before entering the next screen transition. So they match A a couple times, and when they press A and they don't hear anything, that's when they know they've hit the transition, and they can repeat that for however many times they need. And as long as you remember, okay, I need to go to the right 4 times and then up 4 screens or something like that, you'll be fine.
Link to the Past Underworld map is broken up into sub-tiles and super tiles. There are these 2x2 super tiles that are made up of screen-sized rooms that are, so this big key room that Parisian's in right now is a full super tile. And whereas some of the smaller rooms are just a quarter of this. By the way, you'll notice Parisian was just able to open that big key door without the eastern big key. Technically, he is still in Escape, and he has the big key from Escape. Because he has the big key from Escape, he's able to pre-open that big key door in Eastern that he'll need open later, and open this big chest to get the bow and arrow. Meanwhile, Levy has overcome the courtyard and is now picking up the boomerang as well. Now, another jump and save to rearm EG. And we are back in Zelda's cell. And now we are actually going to finish Escape.
And one thing you really do not want to do in a blindfolded run is just guess your movement. I know sometimes you get used to a room or a series of rooms and you feel pretty confident in yourself. And you're probably thinking, I'm just going to walk diagonally upright for about 3 or 4 tiles and then, move to the left. And sometimes you'll overshoot what you're going for. And once you've lost track of your position, it's a nightmare. So you really want to try to use as many setups as possible.
And if you have not yet grasped how difficult what they are doing is, later on tonight, fire up Link to the Past. Just try to get into the castle. Just try to get the sword blindfolded. Give it a shot. See how many hours it takes you.
Nope.
It's a lot harder than you think.
No peeking.
No peeking. So Zelda has been returned, and meanwhile, Levy has rescued Zelda and is going to go ahead and take the journey over to Eastern, get that bow, unlock the big key door, and then, Now, it may seem like Levy is far behind. This is the sort of category that can have wild swings. There are some sections coming up, some very difficult movements, specifically when it gets time for Parisian to pick up the tempered sword and get the gold sword, that even in his PB, which is the world record, he had a minute or two of struggle. So this is it's much closer than you think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Now we can see that Persian player is making his way to Kakariko village, and the goal of that is to farm 2 bottles. They'll come in handy later because, 2 fairies in a bottle, always useful, especially in a category like this.
Meanwhile, you also notice that Parisian rearmed jump save and is below the map on the overworld. The overworld doesn't have the same layering that the underworld does. So this overworld EG is actually only really used to avoid the green guards. By activating that overworld EG, he ends up in a state where the green guards don't notice him. And we are, being a blindfolded run, safety is of the essence. So Parisian is going to be, and Levy as well, will be grabbing 2 bottles and a net, so that they can stock up on fairies as needed. And because of that, Parisian they're also going to want to gather 100 rupees, so that they can buy the bottle from the vendor.
Yeah, it's the more easily accessible bottle. You can get it as early as maybe 10, 20 minutes into the run, and it's right there, almost in your path, so... You can see Parisian used quite a few diagonal movements until he was stuck in a corner, and then diagonal down right. Then he changes diagonal directions until he's in the next corner. That's a good way of traveling in blindfold runs.
There's actually a whole
no, go ahead.
group.
Go ahead.
There's a whole group of blindfolded speedrunners. I believe they go by Blindfolded Brotherhood. The last time that like they all just talk about different ways to blindfold speedrunning of a 2D game and different strategies for like how to do movement correctly, how to learn how to do this. So if you're at all interested in picking up blindfold speedrunning, you're going to see a lot of it on Parisian stream, on Levy's stream, but there's a lot of blindfold speedrunners out there that are always, I find, generally really happy to answer any questions you may have about how this all works.
And Link to the Past came out in 1991, so it's been what, 30 plus years. So the regular speedruns, the regular categories of this game have been maxed to death. And so by playing this game blindfolded, it's kind of playing this game for the first time again, as in you have to be super creative to find some of the strats. You have to think about the game differently. It's a really cool experience. It is tough, but it's a really cool experience.
Version has gotten is 2 bottles and a net, and is now going to move on to Eastern Palace. Remember, we already visited Eastern briefly, and he was able to collect the bow and arrow and pre-open that big key door. So most of the Eastern Palace loop. Oh, he is getting absolutely. He got bodied on that bridge and just made sure. I don't know if he always goes north there, but he just got off the screen as quick as he could to get out of those, get away from those guards.
Looks like Livy is done with escape.
Using the boomerang and holding the sword out. It not the fastest way of moving around, but it is the safest way to just constantly throw the boomerang, clear what's in front of you, keep the sword out, stop and spin every now and then, because you see Parisian's already down to 1 heart. He's pretty much clear to get into Eastern now. There's only 1 blue guard that could still be a problem. Well, no, this statue too. But obviously, dying here would set him back to Link's house. So just needs to get in that front door.
And say that Link is walking holding his sword in his left hand. You want to hold your sword out and move to the left, so same side as his sword, because if you hold your sword to the left and walk to the right, your sword's not going to do much.
We may have just lost Zelma, or did we lose me?
I'm right here. Okay.
I heard. Okay, you cut out for a little bit. You were talking about holding the sword on your left side and also moving that way so that the sword is.
Oh yeah. So if you're holding your sword out and your sword's to the left, you want to move to the left, and vice versa. If your sword's to the right, you want to move to the right, because you always want to have your sword hit the enemies first before yourself, obviously.
Right. This room coming up on Parisian side is interesting. So, in there are 4 skeletons that are supposed to spawn at the north, south, east, and west of the room. By moving into this room in a specific way, he can cause the north skeleton to spawn out of the room and not appear. The bottom skeleton is never going to appear because it tries to spawn on top of the pot, and he can kill the right and left skeletons before they get a chance to fully spawn. Very well executed. It is very easy to have that bottom skeleton spawn anyway, and then you end up just having to chase him around the room, it can be very difficult to hunt it down, but very well executed by Parisian to get that taken care of.
And it looked like he hasn't used any setup for it. He just kind of guessed it, which is super impressive.
I don't. It's hard to tell because of his new blindfold, this new full face style that he's got. But I do remember in his earlier runs, there was a lot of out loud counting, and I think now he probably is still doing that counting, but is just more doing it in his head. But yeah, it didn't look like you. I didn't even know how much room you have to clink and all that in the forced Alphos room. So we'll see how Levy is able to execute that room as well.
Another super tough room here with gifted with greenies. If you clear the popos on your first trip into that room, say, okay, there's 4 or 6 popos in total, and you kill 2, and you're not sure of where you're at, you can exit the room, come back, and I think their positions will be reset. So that is one way to get back on track. Livy got past the cannonball hallway. That's a good job right there. And they're about to enter.
Now, there's a whole generation of Link to the Past speedrunners that don't know that room is gifted with greenies and have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, the dark room with the 2 green Igors. Yeah.
The kids these days, they just don't know. They just don't know these kids. These Gen Alpha speedrunners that have showed up running our games.
Yeah, these rooms were named with boomers, by boomers.
Levy also getting the forced Alphos room cleared with great skill. Now, watch what happens here with Parisian. Parisian is going to be here's the Zelda Gamer room. After Zelda Gamer room here, Parisian is going to be entering a room that has 2 red Igors up at the top, and he's going to actually do a very interesting setup to locate the 2 Igors carefully. So he's going to go in, and he's first going to move. There's 6 popos at the front of the room that he has to spin to kill, and then he's going to move to the left side of the room, collect some arrows, and then be careful to stay. Oh, he did not get all 6 popos, and I don't think he knows. Maybe he does. I don't know if he knows. Okay, he does. So he's going to stay very far to the left to only wake up one. He's going to try to only wake up one of the Igors at a time.
Livy down to 1 hearth, jumping down that hole again to farm some fairies. But they made up a lot of ground on Parisian already. So, as Steven was saying earlier, swings can be wild in this category, and we've had an example of that right here.
Parisian is going to kill the left Igor, and he's going to get out of the room. And we talked about super tiles, right? He's going to backtrack 2 rooms, which moves him into a different super tile. By moving back to a different super tile and then reloading this super tile, the Igor is going to go back to its home position. The dead one stays dead, but now he has put the right side Igor back where it belongs, so he can come in, and that Igor is now exactly where expected, so he can move over, use the boomerang, find the Igor, and move up, fire 2 arrows, and take it out. By the way, fun fact, Igor autocorrects to eyesore on an iPhone. I learned that today. So there's your useless information for today.
You learn stuff every day.
Now, the Armos fight is probably the... Oh, one got away. Okay. So the Armos fight is generally as free as anything gets in Blindfolded. Because the Armos move, and we'll be able to take a closer look at it when Levy gets in there, the Armos move in a clockwise fashion, and you can position yourself pretty easily below the Igor that is on the right bottom, or the bottom of the right side. And by positioning yourself there and just firing straight up at a good rhythm, you can count, it is going to be generally somewhere between 15 to 17 arrows before you have killed 5 of the Armos Knights. And then you just have to get to the bottom of the room to avoid... Oh, Levy takes a... But this is why they picked up 2 bottles in the net.
Yep.
But you'll see, he just got to... after the 5th Armos dies and the 6th Armos is aggroed, you just got to get to the bottom of the room in time to avoid that 6th Armos's jump, and then it is 3 more arrows fired up. So we'll see how Levy handles that. Parisian had a little bit of trouble, but was able to clean it up.
And speaking of, Parisian now received a very useful blindfolded tool in the Pegasus boots from your boy Shalarsh. And they're useful because when you dash, you hear the dust kicking sound for when you charge a dash, and as well when you dash. That's going to be really useful, especially in EG mode when you cross screens. So when you stop hearing the dash kicking sound, that's when you know you've hit the next screen.
Bonking off of objects is a useful way to know, okay, I have hit a wall and I am now an exact distance away. But you're also going to see that Parisian is going to enter this cave here, and Parisian is going to try to enter this cave. And he is going to rearm saving EG with a jump save. Now, we talked about the second half of that layer change happens. The first one we talked about was when you take damage. Well, the other way that you can activate that second half of the layer change and exploit the armed EG state is with the Pegasus boots. So you see Parisian is armed EG and is going to go back into this cave. There was no enemy in there, so we can take a form of damage by bonking off of the wall, and when he lands back on the ground, he is back on the wrong layer. We are back in EG and able to move on to the next area.
And I think the next goal will be to go to the Tower of Hera to obtain the Moon Pearl, and then backtrack through Death Mountain to rescue the old man for the mirror.
Meanwhile, Levy is on that Armos fight, and has lost track of one of them, so just has to get that last one killed. And then this is a safe way of finishing up the fight. Just spam the sword at the bottom of the room, and generally you're going to stay safe. Levy's able to clean that up without too much time loss.
That's the patty corner.
You know what? We're going to go ahead and bring back all the early 2020 references. We're just that's what we're doing here on out. This one is for the old folks now. So, Parisian has EG'd into Hera. While in this cave state, he has not collected a big key. The game don't care. It actually, and I'm going to explain this wrong, and somebody in the chat is going to correct me. Probably Chex. Hopefully it's Chex. having the big key from escape functions as having the big key also in cave state, I believe. So the other thing is, while in cave state, doors, you'll notice that doors will just unlock. Doors only check to see whether or not you have 0 keys. If you have 0 keys, you can't open the door. But in cave state, you have a uninitialized value of keys. I believe it uses 255. And that is not 0. So you can open a door. And then it takes a key away, leaving you with 254. So you'll see as Parisian moves around. I don't know. Oh.
Ooh.
Kadongos.
He might be lost here a little bit. He got knocked to the right side of that column pots.
And that, so this is the other reason. So Link to the Past, the Super Nintendo game. This is the other reason why you can't necessarily just count like 1, 2, 3 to move, because enemies like these Kadongos that all of a sudden will drop, 3, 4, 5 extra sprites on the screen. The game starts lagging. You can't tell that it's lagging, and all of a sudden, the movement that you think you did in 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, is a lot less. But Parisian was okay. That's why we have a bottle, 2 bottles with fairies and a net.
Speaking of fairies, Livy is just done doing their refill.
So Parisian is going to get the Moon Pearl, the old-fashioned way, and is going to go ahead and mosey on out of Hera for a little bit of sidetrack.
Okay.
So we're going to head down the mountain, and we're going to pick up 2 things at the same time. The first is the mirror, and the second is an additional save and quit location. So he's going to enter this cave from the back entrance, navigate through. That's pretty good movement for Blindfolded.
Sometimes you remember the room so well you don't need any setups.
Yeah, so we are getting Moon Pearl. Why did we get Moon Pearl in a Master Sword run? So Moldorm sucks. Moldorm is on a platform. That platform, Moldorm will knock you off of it. You need to kill Moldorm as quickly as possible. In NMG, this was the great equalizer. You have to hit Moldorm 5 times before you die, and it's just almost impossible.
It's 6 times, and that's without losing your position to make it even worse. So yeah, and every time you fall, you lose your position, and the fight resets. A lot of fun.
So what do? Well, we make Moldorm die faster. And the way that we can make Moldorm die faster is by getting a better sword. So Parisian has armed spin speed here and is going to use some overworld glitching and overworld clips to do what we call DMD, or Death Mountain Descent. First he's climbing back up to Hera so that he can identify exactly where he is, get back into the Dark World, and then we're going to do what's called Death Mountain Descent. So Death Mountain Descent is a series of clips that we can use to descend Death Mountain, a thing that you're normally not supposed to do. Leave Death Mountain in the Dark World.
And they got to be careful when clipping, for example, DMD, because they can soft log the game, so they really want to try to avoid that.
Now, when you're doing these overworld clips with these screen wraps, you'll notice Link jumps off the bottom of the screen, reappears on the top of the screen. There are two positions that are being kept track of. The first is your absolute position on the screen that you're on. And the second is your relative position on the overworld map as a whole. So right now, Parisian is moving around, and even though the screen is not indicating stuff, he is still interacting with obstacles that are on this screen, but he is also moving through the overworld as well. And when he gets to a very specific place, he's going to be able to hit a screen transition and have it wrap him down off of the mountain. And I used to have to do this with sight. This is easy to soft lock if you can see.
This goes to show that movement is everything in this category.
And Parisian just did a much more extended Death Mountain descent that I'm used to seeing, that had it so that when he leaves the mountain, he is all the way in Kakariko. The traditional Death Mountain descent just takes you off the mountain right by the sanctuary. I think he soft locked himself, so he's gonna have to do that all over again.
And now Livy just got the Moon Pearl, so I think the race is getting tighter and tighter now. The gap's closing.
Yes. So was he? So I don't know if he. I don't know if he meant to end up in Kakariko, in Dark World Kakariko. That may have been a little bit of an oopsie. So we're gonna do Hera clip again. Get back into Hera so that we can get back into the portal, and we're gonna DMD again.
Ooh, dashing the entire flight of stairs. Let's go. That might have been part of their strat. Parisian jumped off the ledge, and Livy decided to dash through those stairs. Interesting.
So Levy is now collecting the old man in that third save and quit spot. So,
oh no, go ahead.
This whole this whole overworld clipping and not being able to understand where you are and all that. I believe there is actually a very interesting Taz on Taz videos by Can that had a render that actually showed on a map where he really is as he's doing all of this overworld clipping and overworld movement. I'm going to pull that up real quick and drop it in the chat because it really helps you make sense of what's happening with all of this overworld shenanigans.
Okay, and it looks like Livy is about to attempt for the first time DMD, so let's keep an eye out for that. And is this Parisian player's third attempt at DMD? I didn't see, I missed it if he got it on the second try or not. Guess we'll find out. Might be his third try. Third attempt, okay. So they're basically tied at this point. It's a very fun race, very tight.
And in the chat right now is the video that you can watch after this run, after the marathon, of course, of the full inventory task by FMP, aka Can, and Yuzahara, famous Link to the Past glitch hunter, that shows the kind of the overworld movement with the map side by side, and Spleeby and Malmo with the amazingly relevant emote. That's fantastic. Anytime I see a screen scroll, all I can think of is Author Blues and screen scrolling himself out of the Lost Woods to the song from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Man, I miss Author Blues playing this game.
You know what I don't miss? Actually playing this game.
That's right. Watching runs is a lot more fun.
I am washed. I was never good to begin with, and I am washed. So, we are...
I'd love to tell you what cues they're using for this trick, but I'm trying to figure it out and I can't, so...
So, it looks like Levy is... So, Levy is going to enter and exit this house here to reset the positioning on the map. And when Levy comes out of the house... the map and the camera are fixed, and Levy can climb up here, go into that portal that
really shouldn't be there, but it is.
It is. And we're just going to kind of work our way to the other side of this portal to pick up Frog.
Cursed dwarf.
All right. Meanwhile, looks like Parisian has made his way, and just like that, Levy is in the lead.
This is still very close.
Yeah, Parisian is only a couple of screens behind, but this frog is actually not a frog. I don't mean to spoil lore, but the frog is actually a baker. And in exchange for rescuing this baker and returning him to his bakery, the baker is going to offer you a fresh baguette. The only rule is that you have to leave the screen and come back. That's how long it takes for the baguette to be finished. It doesn't matter if you leave the screen and come back in 10 seconds or 10 hours. It takes exactly that many screen transitions for the baguette to be done.
That's right. It also costs $10, or excuse me, 10 rupees.
Parisian is stuck on a weird little piece of geometry. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I think he figured it out. Yeah, okay, he's figured it out. Okay, maybe not.
And so here's the thing. This is not a place where he can save and quit to fix things. Could he? Yes. But that would be an enormous amount of time. But I think, okay.
If you're up against a ledge and you just repeatedly tap the button against the ledge instead of holding it, you're never gonna jump off. That can be a nice way to set up your next diagonal, your next movement, next position.
Question in the chat, was Levy supposed to drop those fairies? And the answer is yes. Because the fairies have this thing where they don't let you die, and in a moment, Levy is going to want to die. So, we talked about wanting, to do as much damage to Moldorm as quickly as possible. So not only do we want the Tempered Sword, we actually want the Golden Sword. And so Levy is doing a series of movements here to enable placing a portal in a very specific place that is actually not on Death Mountain, similar to what we just saw where the frog portal ended up in a completely unexpected spot. But now Levy has placed that portal and now wants to die. And that death is to enable Levy to restart from Link's house. And, well, let's see what happens from there.
Yeah, the mirror warp's going to be misplaced once again, and this time it's going to be misplaced
Spoilers.
On top of... You'll find out in 10 seconds. Oh, would you look at that? Yeah.
Just inside the wall. And Levy is going to not only exchange the Tempered Sword for the Golden Sword, but also is going to pick up some silver arrows, more than likely. Now, this actually is also much harder than you would think, because there is no audio cue for whether or not you have moved through the menu and selected the sword or the arrows. And I have seen on previous blindfolded attempts them just throwing in the wrong item. And you don't know.
You'll find out way later when you're supposed to use your bow and arrows.
Yup. Meanwhile, Parisian is just a few screens behind, has placed his warp, and is going to make his sword and arrow exchange, and Levy is going to stop and refill those bottles.
So right now they're about, 2 minutes apart, which is nothing.
By the way, that priest is just dead. Just dead. Body is still there.
Yeah, we don't care about that guy.
Yeah. At this point, right, rigor mortis is set in. It's just, but nobody cares.
Looks like Parisian player has successfully thrown in the bow. Good job.
So now, from this point, the runners have two options. So, two options for what to do next. They can either do Moldorm or Landmo. They have to do both. The order in which you do them is really kind of dealer's choice. So we will see which order they decide to do things in. But Parisian is going to go ahead and get his fairy refill. Yeah, gold sword makes a different sound. The I don't recall if the silver arrows make a different sound though.
I saw a Parisian player shoot a silver arrow while he was inside the big fairy cave or whatever you want to call it. So maybe there is. I'm not sure. I haven't noticed, but maybe that's why he shot an arrow.
So Parisian is hopping back up to Hera. Meanwhile, Levy is visiting the Swamp Palace, and so we talked about the keys. So you see, Levy just went from having blank keys to now 4 and 3. Only the ones digit is shown, so Levy actually has 253 keys now. But you know, Levy is going to go ahead and light these torches to open up the back half of Desert. Meanwhile, it looks like Parisian is going to go ahead and do Moldorm first.
The Moldorm with the Butter Sword, aka Golden Sword, requires 2 slashes to kill, which is a whole lot less than with the regular sword, the Fighter Sword. 6 versus 2. It makes the fight a whole lot easier.
Yep, and the strat is generally to hop into the arena and just try to dash north and south and north and south, and hope that you get 2 hits in before Moldorm sneaks up behind you and throws you off the side.
Yep. And even then, sometimes you can dash through Moldorm and still take a hit, so...
Yup. Yeah, so Levy is going to go ahead and try to get out of Desert here.
Yeah, that Popo room can get out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's almost more annoying when you have those enemies that don't come towards you. They just wander off to a random corner of the room, and you just have to go and find. So Parisian's going to use a series of bonks and the boomerang here to find his location in the room. Oh, he got a... That's basically a free hit on Moldorm, but Moldorm is just... Yep, there we go. Yep. The dream is for Moldorm to start and stay in the center, right? If he wanders off to the left or to the right, he is just gonna pick a time to come in and body you off the ledge. And if you get knocked out of that north-south place, you know, it can get real bad. You almost want to just jump off, because the worst thing that can happen is getting center hold and being put all the way, 3 or 4 floors down. Parisian's got the 2 dashes and Moldorm is dead. Meanwhile, Levy has just taken a BMOS to the face, but that is why we have fairies. Now,
go ahead.
Dead, but where? So luckily, Parisian was able to locate that heart. The boomerang will hit the heart but not make a sound. So you can just hear that the boomerang flew for a shorter length. No!
Okay.
Okay. He had collected the heart container, so Moldorm was dead. So even if he had jumped off, Moldorm would have stayed dead. But it still would have sucked. Velmo, playing blindfolded seems insane. Now, this is the room, Landmo that Levy is going into is the only reason why we picked up the silver arrows. By dashing up, moving left, facing right, and firing 2 arrows, trying to get, and the silver arrows kill the Landmolas in a single hit. So, basically it's spray and pray and try to get one. But now we're just gonna basically hang out in the corner and just throw sword beams. And now the Landmolas will each spawn in a random spot and then jump into a random direction. So
generally,
and there
for
we go.
this, you want to stand in the top half of the screen. I feel like that's when your sword beams or arrows will connect the most.
Yeah, it's the Landmolas is never going to spawn at the bottom and go south, right? And it's never going to spawn at the top and go north. But top half of the screen, you know, right above the halfway line, gives you the best chance to make contact. Most likely,
Yeah.
positioning. So Parisian now is going to go and do all of the same stuff that we just saw Levy do, and Levy is going to go and do all of the same stuff that we just saw Parisian do.
We've seen that fairy cave quite a few times in this race.
Yeah.
Yeah, by rescuing the old man, not only you get an extra save and quit location, you get the mirror, but you also get a free heart refill every time. So that's pretty convenient.
Old man kisses.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've mentioned in passing, Levy and Parisian have been using something called super speed, but not actually going into the full super speed state. In the Japanese 1.0 version, there are, if you charge your sword, release a spin attack, and on the frame after you release B, you tap A for one frame, you go into this glitched state where super speed is armed. And if you were to touch a staircase, a manual staircase, you would then move freely in any direction at the dashing speed. However, in that pre-armed super speed state, you also have some weird movement that allows you to move into diagonal corners, and they have been using that glitched movement, that pre-armed super speed state, to nudge into a corner on Death Mountain, and that's how they've just been walking into the wall and jumping over. They're not actually going to get super speed, at least not on purpose. Super speed movement while blindfolded would just be... That's not fun.
Ooh, got in the stairwell right before the beetle hit them.
Vivi is very much trying to clear out those Moldorms out of the petting zoo, and they just do not want to be fed, do not want to be pet, but
There's a setup you can do for your position when you enter that room to throw bombs into the petting zoo, so that way you don't have to walk in yourself. And the area of damage is pretty wide, so chances of killing both Moldorms with one bombs, they're pretty high.
But menuing, keeping as little menuing as possible in a blindfolded run, is generally a good thing. I remember Parisian once did a 100% major glitches blindfolded run, and that had a lot of menuing, and there were times where he would just end up getting lost in the menu.
One thing to get back on track in the menu is go to the bottle menu. You keep tapping right real quick until your inputs get eaten by the bottle menu, and then you tap right again and you're on what's the item to the right of the bottles? The Cane of Samaria or something? I forgot.
Oh, Levy got center hole!
Oh no!
Back to floor 5. Back to floor 4. Okay. And that is why we have fairies. So Parisian only took one fall to Moldorm, but Levy's fall was a little bit more painful. So, oh, and Parisian got 2 of the Moldorms killed on the first cycle. Almost the 2-cycle blindfolded. And Landmo is down. So take 2 for Moldorm for Levy. Now Parisian's just going to dash up and down and sweep the room looking for the heart. And was able to find it. Then by going all the way to the bottom left, he's able to normalize his position and then just hold upright and walk into homing the desert. We ain't found shit. I want to go watch Spaceballs now.
Getting hit right as you jump onto the arena before you even touch the ground is the most annoying thing ever. You basically have to, jump down the hole yourself, reset the fight.
Right. Yeah. So Parisian has all 3 pendants. From here, it is just a matter of making his way over to the Lost Woods and collecting the Master Sword.
Pedestal percent.
That's not okay.
Yeah, sorry. Ooh,
oh no! No!
Might as well try. Didn't fall,
This
might
is
as well
just-
keep trying.
He doesn't realize just how... Yeah, he's just like, okay, this ain't working out.
Grabbing the mushroom
Parisian
because...
with the bonus mushroom.
Thinking to the beat of the Lost Wood music.
And for Parisian, that will be time. 59-17-ish. And I think we are going to have Parisian wander in this way. Meanwhile, Levy is going to go give Moldorm another go. Yeah, go ahead and bring Parisian on up. Yes, please. Welcome in, Parisian player, the winner of our race today. Congratulations on a very well-executed blindfolded run. What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Well, it was a very good run until I pressed, I forgot something on the tempered sword glitch.
Yeah, you're a DMD. At first I thought that you had found this cool new DMD to put you like straight into Kakariko. Because that's where you ended up when you screen transitioned. You were in Dark World Kakariko and you were bonking off of the tree one screen left of the dwarf house.
Yeah. Yeah. So my first attempt on DMD was good until the last dash I need to make, last bonk, and then it's alright. And I didn't recall if I need to press right or not somehow. And pressing R was a bad mistake. Pressing right was a bad mistake. And then my new attempts were horrible. So it took me like 3 additional tries, I think.
That was my favorite thing is when was trying anytime I would try to do those clips back in the day and you're just halfway through you're like, I have forgotten the inputs. I do not know what I'm supposed to push now. Levy has been getting bullied by Moldorm.
Oh, got him.
But Moldorm has finally bitten the dust. So Levy is going
try,
to
so very, very lucky. Almost first try. Like I'm on the first fight, entering with a direct hit,
and
then
he went straight left. So you got the direct hit, and off of the hit, he went straight to the left of the center hole, and then just snuck in behind you. And if he goes off to the left like that, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you just have to wait, but it's quite stressing. It's pretty rare that I kill him when he chills out on the left for a bit. Otherwise played safe. Like I knew I didn't lose a fairy after Moldor, but I wanted to come back to check if I had all my fairies before landloss. Because if you die in that section, I think if you already light the torches, the EG does not work. You cannot come back with that strat. So what you have to do then, let's say I die in landloss. I should not save and quit. I should reset.
Right. Put the wall back in its place.
I'm sorry?
To put the wall back in its place.
Because having the wall moved changes the EG strength of the room.
Yeah.
So,
what a dumb game.
So there, you want to enter with 2 fairies because you have a lot of RNG in that section. The RNG was very good also in that room. I was very lucky with the RNGs the entire run. I killed the Ropos very, very quickly.
I got a question for you about the 4 Stelphos room in Eastern. Are you just walking in there and YOLOing, or what was your strategy to make sure that you got only the East and West Stelphos to spawn?
So I count bit counting from 1, and then at 3.5 I press down twice, and then I kill the first one, and normally there's only the last one left, and so I go in the corner, and it's the second one takes time to move, so you have normally plenty of time. But the most difficult part is hitting the first one, so I begin to be quite consistent, like I say, one out of 2 tries, 50%.
And GG as well to Levy with a time of 104.07. Moldorm is a big dumb jerk, was the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Hello, good job on your run. How'd you feel? Can you hear us?
Seems like
1, 2 testing.
And GG as well to Levy with a time of 104.07.
No, it's so bad that mistake I said in Tempered Sword, because otherwise I would have been very close to my PB. I see my splits. I lost 7 minutes on Tempered Sword, and so I would have finished like +1 compared to my PB.
How'd you feel?
Yeah, it was a really pretty clean up until that. You know, I watched your PB earlier today, and yeah, it was up until Tempered. It was pretty clean. So
even after that, it was really fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were pretty much screen for screen after DMD/Tempered Sword. It was a really tight race for a while. It was a really fun watch.
Yeah, also in the Zelda Gamer room, I was very lucky to kill because stealth was stealth was so fast. Normally I try to spin, and if I kill one, it's all right, and then I come back. But usually nothing happens there, and did I kill them both, or like the second one was pretty quickly after that. I went to the Red Igor with both of them killed, which was a first for me.
Levy, are you able to hear us?
Lily, est-ce que tu nous entends? I'm going to DM
Guess
her.
not.
Then.
Oh. Yeah, it was.
Are you hearing me now?
Now we hear you. Hello.
Okay. I think I have. I haven't on my microphone. That's really dumb. But here I am.
Congratulations on your race. How do you feel?
Quite tired because it's 5 a.m. at my home and I have another blindfolded run just in about 7 hours. I have to go to bed. But yes, the run was really clean, except the escape. I think 3 or 4 attempts, losing a lot of time, and about Moldorm 6 or 7 tries. But actually, it's just because RNG. All the other. All the run was really clean. Actually, I'm really okay with my run for today.
Yeah, for a blindfolded marathon run, both of you did excellent. There's just so much that can go wrong, and you guys you both handled anything that went wrong very cleanly. Moldorm, there are days that you can't do anything about Moldorm, but
I have a question. Did any of you feared getting stuck in one place for, say, 10, 20, 30 minutes, or not really?
Actually, I have been stuck at one moment when I get hit by Moldorm. I was on the floor below, and I put up the pot, and I was on the wrong place, but I didn't panic. I found the correct door. But actually, also we are also worried about dying on the last screens of his turns. That's also what happened on the Red Igor room. I don't know, but I get a strange skeleton RNG. I lost my fairy and I have to go back to refresh the room. But I didn't panic and I think it was quite okay. And thanks a lot everyone for commentary for the event. And I think it's okay for me.
Well, once again, GG, and you know, like I said earlier, if anybody has any doubt about how hard this was, fire up Link to the Past, high on a blindfold, and just try to get into the castle. And in 4 hours, when you still have not made it into the castle, then you will fully appreciate just how excellent the display that you guys just saw was. Congratulations to Parisian and Levy for a fantastic blindfolded race of Link to the Past, Master Sword, Major Glitches. And thank you to Zelna for hopping in with me and sharing a lot of insight as to about what it means to do this game blindfolded.
Yeah, my pleasure, and thanks to you, Steven.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you, Lily, for racing with me, and thank you, SpeedGaming, for making that event.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. See you soon. See you this afternoon for me.
Good night.
Rolling out.
Rolling out.